Well, I'm not sure where the last video left off. Hopefully you can figure out what was there. So let's keep going on this one. Sorry for the glitch. This is a quadrilateral. We know that opposite angles are supplementary. So to find the value of x, which would help us know g, we want to set 11x plus 8 plus 8x plus 1 and set that equal to 180. So we want to solve this algebra problem here. That would be 19x plus 9 is 180. We're going to subtract 9. 19x is 171. Divide by 19. And x is 9. So once we know x is 9, we're going to substitute it back in. 8 times 9 plus 1. So the measure of angle G is 73. So you need to do the same thing with H. The opposite angles there, there's y's there. This would be 6y minus 4 plus 5y minus 3 is 180. So you're going to add those y's together. 11y minus 7 is 180. You're going to add 7 to both sides. 11y is 187. Divide both sides by 11. You get y equals 17. And then this asks you to find letter H. H was 6y minus 4. So that's 6 times 17 minus 4. So the measure of angle H is 98. So the gist of that example is to make sure you realize opposite angles are supplementary when you have a quadrilateral inscribed. So we're down to the last example here. And this one gives you some information. We're going to start off with this piece here. WX is this arc right here, and it's 20. The second piece of information, and by the way, I'm looking at WX. I do not see any inscribed angles touching arc WX. So then I go to arc XY is 40. So this arc right here is 40. Now looking at that arc, I see 2 inscribed angles touching that arc. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds here. There is an inscribed angle, 2 of them, touching that arc. Now remember, inscribed angles that touch arcs are the half of the arc. All right, I'm going to tell you which ones. I'm going to draw it in, and then I'm going to erase it. So this is the first inscribed angle, which means I'm going to erase that pink line. We now know that angle 2 is 20, because inscribed angles are half the arc. There's another one that touches that. It's right here. I'm going to be erasing that, but if you look, that inscribed angle touches that arc. So this is 20. And I get all that information just from the measure of this arc. Nothing else do I know. I'm going to keep going with the given. UZ. Here's U. All the way to Z. That is 108. So I want to look to see if there are any inscribed angles touching that arc. There are 2 of them again. So see if you can find the 2 inscribed angles that touch that arc. Okay, I'm going to show you them, and I'm going to erase them. There are 2. The first one I'm going to show you is this one, angle 3. You see how that inscribed angle touches that arc. Now I'm going to get rid of that. That means angle 3 is half of that, which is 54. There's another inscribed angle that touches that arc, and it's right here at angle 5. You see that one? I'm going to erase it here in a second. That one also touches that arc, so that means angle 5 is 54 degrees. There's one last piece of information. It tells me that these two arcs, which are my last arcs, have to be congruent. Well, there's a way to know what those two arcs are. In a circle, there are 360 degrees. And currently, we know we have 20-degree arc, a 40-degree arc, and a 108-degree arc. So if I add those up, that gives me 168. I'm going to take 360 degrees minus the 168 that I already have, and that gives me 192. So those two last arcs have to add up to 192, and they are congruent. So I'm going to divide 192 by 2 to get 96. So that means this arc over here is 96, and this arc here is 96. So I needed to find all of these angles. So if I start with 1, I'm going to use blue here. I notice that 1 is inscribed to that arc we just found. So if 1 is inscribed, it has to be half of that, which is 48 degrees. Inscribed angles are half the arc. Angle 2, we see up there is 20. Angle 3, we found was 54. Angle 4 I don't have, but I do have angle 5. So one last angle in there I need to find, and I'm going to grab a purple marker here. There is a triangle right here that I know two of the angles. I know 54 and 20 gives me 74. So that means the last angle in that triangle has to be 106. So if this angle in here is 106, angle 4 is 106 because they are vertical. I will also post this notes if you need to watch it again. The rest of the time will be yours to work on your homework independently for a while, and then you should be allowed to ask each other some questions. Good luck!